Great. Uh, Welcome, everyone, to our, what is this, our fifth community meeting here. So we're going to go over a little bit of the UX design. But before we do, we just have some quick announcements. Joseph, do you want to talk about those?
Sure. I'll try to make this quick, very project managery. Um, all right. So first thing, I've been kind of reorganizing and moving some stuff around. Does anybody else here have too many Google accounts? Because I had like a dozen
Yes.
and been trying to consolidate them down a little bit. So there is a shared folder for the Shared Visions community project. This link is in the Discord. I can throw it in the Zoom chat so you all have it. Right now, there's a bunch of empty workspace folders. We can use this to share assets, things like that. There's an inbox footage where we've been collecting some clips from various events and a place for some assets, things like that. So this folder is available for everybody in the project. We're not sharing it super publicly. I'm not like putting this on social media, but sharing it in the Discord and just a place to collaborate. The the main reason I wanted to get into the recording and show everyone here, this is where we have all of the past meetings. So if you didn't make it to the last workshop and you wanted to see what we talked about, we've got the recording here. Some of these have transcripts. There's the Zoom chat log if you're looking for any of the links that were mentioned. But most notably, there is the meeting notes that Jamie and I use to run the meeting. And then there's also kind of an AI summary made from the transcript. If you just want to, if you don't have time to watch the whole video, but just want to just kind of catch up very quickly. So that's the gist of that. Um, uh, in no particular order, these other topics, most of this meeting today is going to be UX stuff that Oliver is going to be working with. I figured we could have a check-in with Mel. We had briefly touched on the story questions that are in the Discord, so we can kind of make sure everybody knows about that. I don't know if Paolo is going to join us or not, but he can talk about any video updates. He's been doing some research on collaborative editing and he's got some ideas there. Mike will be joining us a little bit later, so maybe towards the end of the meeting, he can kind of show off the video timeline idea. So he's kind of validated the app, the core concept for the documentary of getting reality kit entities synced up with video timelines, things like that. And then the last item for discussion, um, we're thinking about phasing out these workshops in favor of kind of a regular or semi-regular weekly meeting for the next couple of months. It's almost more of an office hours style meeting where it'll still be those of us here. We can still record it for those who can't make it with a focus on shared visions, but more of just like this come together and get as many team leads as possible, get as many people as possible, task out work, get help on stuff that we're stuck on, things like that. Um, Reactions to that? What does anybody think? Is that a good idea, bad idea? Kind
I think we still need a bit of a focused workshop, probably at least one more, maybe two on the UX. But I'm happy to run that sort of to the side in conjunction with, because I think we do need to focus in on that just to
and I
make
think
sure.
we could have those meetings be we could do those workshops at those meetings. So we could
Sure.
get a portion of that of like, oh, next Wednesday is going to be a focus on story, and then we'll branch out into other topics or UX or things like that. But I
But
think
there's
just
just a danger we won't have enough time to do because we've got a bunch in parallel, right?
having,
That's happening. And now's a sort of critical time point to make sure that we're getting things done in order to deliver for.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but up to.
Maybe it's sort of fortnightly, and then if we need to do a weekly one, put it in there. I don't know.
Mhm. I like the weekly idea, even if it's a bit shorter, because
Mm,
that lets us hit a lot more topics, and even if some people can't come every week, um, we can kind of bounce around between the team leads of like who's got something to discuss this week and kind of give them priority. And we can arrange that in advance and probably just kind of move back and forth between the teams. We're thinking Wednesdays. Time is kind of up in the air. We were initially thinking 3 p.m. This meeting is at 6 p.m., so about 3 hours later. I'm able to do either one. If we do the 3 p.m., that cuts some folks out on the other side of the world. So we may want to consider doing a second edition if somebody was willing to host. But I don't know. We're just looking for reactions here and just trying to figure out kind of a regular time for the next couple of months to treat this more of like a project check-in as we go.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we need that especially for the leads. But I don't know whether it replaces the workshop. But
Okay. Cool. Well, let's see how far we get in today's workshop. Let's go ahead and schedule those, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll throw it in the Discord for a poll and see what people think about the time slots. All right. Oliver, over to you. Or unless Jimmy, you have any other admin stuff?
No, I think we could pass it on to Oliver.
cool. Mel, did you want to do a quick story update first, or just so that make sure we protect the time?
No, happy for you to jump into
Okay.
your stuff.
Okay. Okie doke. So has everyone got the Figma link? Hey, Paul. It's in the chat. I'll put it in again, Paolo, for you. Do you get that? Great. Cool. Okay. So if you look in, and I'll probably I'll share screen, yeah, rather than us all following. I would think will be easier. Where are we? Share. Everyone see that all right? Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who might not be part of have been part of the previous workshops, we started off a couple of sessions ago with a quick, and you can follow me by clicking up on the people and then clicking on my face, or I'll spotlight me actually. A quick think about the app audience. So just who is going to be using this? Apple Vision Pro users are the main audience, and you can read through the details there later. Apple as a secondary audience, and then those that are sort of interested in Apple Vision Pro might be having a play with it as a demo or at a trade show or something like that, and maybe if it was cheaper or something like that, would be keen to buy it. There's also this non-AVP audience who would potentially just watch a video trailer or featurette at a conference or something to hear about it. So they're not a primary audience, but we've noted them there for reference. I just jotted down some quick use cases, just and open to discussion here. But one of the main purposes is obviously to watch the main feature video. That's sort of the key, is that this is based around that documentary. But then we also have this program where there might be additional videos that come in post the main feature video, and people might drop in from time to time and go, oh, I wonder what's changed since I was last here. Show me the latest videos that have come in, so more chronological in that sense. And then also those videos would then go into sort of the broader video repository in my mind. This is just my thinking around that. And therefore people could always go in and find people's stories that are of interest to them and watch a series of videos. So I might want to, me personally, I want to watch all the videos about UX researchers or UX designers who are doing something with Apple Vision Pro. And then also, find out potentially how to be part of the community, and that might be Shared Vision itself, or it might be Step Into Vision, and who are the individuals, sort of who's the team behind all of this as well. Any thoughts or feedback on that? Is any of it wrong? Have I missed anything?
I was just picking up on the recent or new videos. I was just thinking of the spatial gallery in Vision Pro, where if you kind of come back in there for a little while, you have that sort of sort between your favorites and new videos. And I think that's like a nice, mental model if you haven't been been there for a couple of weeks or something, you come back in and you immediately see, here's what's changed. So
Yeah,
I
no.
just wanted to underline that.
Yep, great one. Recent or favorites? I'll clean them up a bit later. And then we did I can't spell obviously, and then we did a little exercise which is around what we term a concept model. So what's the rough layout of this? It's sort of prior to a screen flow, but looking at the layout of how the bits might fit together. So for example, people might come in to the application via a widget in Vision OS, or the app icon obviously in Vision OS as well. And then within the home screen, there might be access to the feature. There might be a filter on the rest of the video clips, and there might be some links through to other reference information. So we had we had everyone have a play around with that. So there was the linear narrative, non-linear, and then video clips as well. So that sort of tertiary or other aspect to it. And then people were thinking about, okay, with the intro video, what might that include, and so on as well. And then things like different filters, the options on those. Do we want story chapters in the main video as well to help people skip around if we think that's key? Obviously, the audio aspect was brought up here as well by Andrew. And other elements. So Christian was talking about, oh, we might want to filter on moods and beats and colors and things like that. So other elements that could provide a particular perspective. And then we were looking at some of the interactions and some of the implementation on the video clips, or how they might be presented and so on. Aspects there. And then the types of people that we could filter the clips by. So as I mentioned, for me, it might be UX researchers and designers, but it might be storytellers, creators, developers, etc. And thinking about the credits as an opportunity for a real sort of interesting interactive experience. So we did that, and then we also did a look at the metadata around the video clips. So specifically, what are the elements of metadata, because they would obviously feed into a filtering process and so on. So things like date, length of the clip, format of the clip. Is it Apple Immersive Video? Is it a spatial clip? The location of that person, the role of that person. Are they a developer? Are they a Swift UI developer? Are they a Unity developer? Etc., etc. Do they have apps on Vision OS and their app categories that they fit into? And then the more abstract bits that Christian referred to, like mood and sentiment, we'd need a transcript or an audio analysis or a video analysis. I don't know why that arrow's dropped off that, but they're elements that we would need to execute that sort of function. And then we added, oh, sorry, I've gone to the wrong one. There is a more complete one at the front. And then things like genre as well. So long form, or is it based around an event like DubDub or Let's Vision and so on. So then last session, we took that information and started to play around with home screen sketches and have a bit of a think through what they might look like. So here you can see Andrew exploring. There might be sort of a round lens effect or a round effect on how to go through the chapters within a story map. I'll talk about mine a bit more because I've got some more things to look at it. But and then Joe sort of had a bit of listed out a couple of things around splash screens and the main windows, taking a more traditional sort of tabbed view with the ornaments and so on around the video, and then did some exploration as well with some of the interactive bits and the way that we could have some of the UI elements and the execution of those UI elements. And then we also talked about sort of the layout spatially of how these might sort of come around us. So on the Z-axis, what are we seeing and how might things sit on either side, etc., etc. and we were talking about, cycling through this content on the Z-axis potentially as well. So there's the tabbed approach.
And Jimmy's got a mock-up of that he threw in the Discord.
Oh, Jimmy, can you drop it into here? But actually, let's drop it into what we're about to do. Might be good. So I have evolved this a little bit. So I've taken the concept model, and what I thought we'd do today is two key things, is audit the concept model and see if we're heading in the right direction and any things that might be missing or different takes on the sort of the way that we're expecting this to play out. So we'll probably do about 20 minutes on that. And then I started putting together some sort of very, rough wireframes essentially of what this could be like. So we can evolve that home screen or even some of the paths from that home screen in the second 20 minutes if we've got 40 minutes left. So is everyone okay with that? Yeah. Right. Okay, so similar to the concept model, obviously we've got the points of entry. So I don't think there's any debate. We'd like a widget that we can put in Vision OS. I think it's almost like, if we have DRIs, maybe we put somebody in charge of the widget design and so on. So maybe we start to look at various elements of this. And I'm not saying right now, I'm saying probably at the end of this or next meeting, to go, hey, somebody is tasked with focusing on the widget, coming back to the group with a bunch of ideas or people feeding into that person so that we're not, going around in circles and doing a bunch of stuff. So if anyone's particularly keen on widgets, happy to do that. I'm very happy to do it, but if anybody else is, totally cool with that. Then obviously, sorry.
I was thinking one thing we maybe do with a widget is just like obviously a widget, its main purpose is to serve as a launcher for the app. But when you have the larger sizes of widgets, we can show a little bit more data. So if they can have multiple touch targets. So we could have a top section that opens the app. But if we have new content coming in to the library section, we could just have thumbnails there or kind of banners announcing dive into a 20-minute interview with Mel about her new company or something like that.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah. I think we really want to push the boundaries of what we can do with widgets. This is an opportunity for us to showcase best practice and you really sort of explore the boundaries of what widgets can do, because we've seen some interesting examples. And I think there's really some appropriate examples. I really love the Now on Vision widget because of the information visualization, the reminder to make sure the app's open and things like that. So it really fulfills a bunch of those things. But I think both the animation and the interactive bits aren't fully explored. I can't think of a widget, and I just did a talk on widgets at AWE Asia. I haven't seen that many widgets that really push the boundaries. So opportunity there. And Joe's done obviously an amazing set of tutorials on widgets as well from a dev perspective.
They're mediocre at best.
Oh, Joe. Actually, Joe, if you've got a second, maybe drop the link into the chat if anyone hasn't seen that, because I think they're great. We're revisiting them.
Hey, Oliver, sorry, just
Yeah.
a quick question actually. What was the widget that you liked? That was a good example. I missed that. The one.
There's an app by Tom Krikorian called Now on Vision.
Okay.
He took that app down, unfortunately.
Oh, he's taken it down, has he? Yeah, okay. Because he's not going to support it moving forward. Tim, you were sort of thinking about maybe seeing if Tom wanted to open source it and taking it over or contributing. Is that right?
I mean, I could. I hadn't talked to him about it though.
Okay.
I could totally build a similar concept into a future step in Division app that I'm definitely not working on.
Right, that sounds interesting. Cool. So home screen and then access obviously to the main feature, access to those recent clips.
Can I nitpick on one thing?
Please, absolutely.
It is not an AIV feature.
Sure. Sorry.
shared visions feature. There may be some AIV in it, but
Feature video, I'll
It's
call it.
it's like a
Yes.
it's like a dynamically shifting
it's
um
ultimately it's a reality kit scene that is playing enabling entities, and some of those entities are video players, but some of them are 3D models or environments or spatial audio or lights or particles. But ultimately, it's a reality kit scene and it's presented as an immersive space.
I'm going to put a note there on that. No, coming to my no. Here's space. Okay, great. Then we have this recent clips, and again, as per Andrew, we might have recent and favorite. There as well. And then my expectation is that there's a way that we get to basically all the clips, so how do we get in, and maybe that's a chronological order. Maybe it's also the same thing that is the screen that gets filtered on to create a playlist. So there might be an opportunity sort of to go from here to here. Oops.
Yeah. Have we thought about we may want to come up with kind of a universal way of naming those clips, as we if they're about a person, or I can imagine some of them being about individuals and some of them being about small teams or companies. Like if this is the Studio 84 clip or if this is the Andrew clip, we may want to come up with a kind of a universal way that we name all the videos so that in alphabetical sort or a traditional sort would make sense. But I do like the idea of sorting them as they come out. So this is the order that we released them.
do if we does it make sense to categorize them like featurettes, extras, interview only, so those categories can help with the filtering?
Yeah,
Because it'll yeah.
there definitely may be times where we interview, let's pick on Mel as an example. We interview Mel for a 20-minute feature talking about her experience with Apple Vision Pro, and then 6 months down the line, she does something crazy new and wants to have a little 5-minute discussion about that. Like, so I could see there being kind of multiple entries from individuals per se.
I'm always doing crazy and new things.
Yep. Exactly.
It'll just be a timeline of Mel.
Time lapse or
Sorry, this whole thing is like a Truman Show charade that we've been playing on Mel the whole time.
do
Brilliant.
we add something for other for some things we cannot categorize? I don't know what to throw
Yeah,
that
sure.
on. I'm sure there'll be something that
But yeah, Oliver's got a whole section on the types of kind of metadata tagging.
So I think they're good ones. Like, and I think that genre, like we can add them in here, obviously. So interviews, but the genre is probably the best label for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And whether it's simply a filter or it's a key sort of navigation to decide on the format or the genre first, then I think that's I suppose long form's the same as feature, right? Is it? Interviews. What else do we say? Other.
So I love the idea of the lens that we keep talking about from various meetings. I love the idea of being in an immersive space surrounded, like the image you showed earlier, where you had the dome of stuff. Maybe you've got a little tray of 5 or 6 lenses in front of you that point at some of the top level criteria, and you can pick one up and look through it, and it hides everything that's not compatible with that lens. So if you pick up the storyteller's lens, or, for example, you just see only the tiles light up that were in the story.
Yeah. Behind the scenes. Sure.
I don't know what deleted scenes are.
Deleted scenes and bloopers, yeah?
Yeah, you can change it. I mean, yeah, bloopers, I guess.
We need an entire section of Jimmy and I making puns.
I'll take out the whole app.
Yeah.
That circular format that you've created, Joseph, could really work well with the lens concept. So
Yeah, I'll show that in a little bit. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool. It's got some UX considerations that I want to run by you, but I think it's a neat idea.
Yeah. Where are we? And then back down. So filter would be applied to all clips. Do we want to enable them to create a playlist? Like one of the things is, I might highlight the UX researchers, filter on ones from Europe or something like that, and I only want to watch the interviews. Then I want to grab those 3 or 4 clips of Phil and everyone and essentially drag them into a playlist, right? And then be able to watch them. And sorry.
I have a really interesting idea to go with that. With some of the stuff I'll show later, playing a lot with circles and spheres. I didn't have time to mock this one up because it was like right before the meeting, but I was thinking about I've got all these spheres that could represent the library content. If I could drag them into kind of a tube at the bottom of the window or the bottom of the space and just kind of line them up in my order that I want to hit play. So very similar to your widget app that you released, where you've got the sections of content inside the pipe
Yeah.
or tube,
Yeah.
something like that, where they could just drag in little spheres of content.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
we were talking about when we were sort of riffing on the spherical ideas, but almost like a kind of a solar system metaphor, like we're talking about like the universe and then, a hierarchy going, from planet to, solar system to galaxy or whatever. But in those little subsets of playlists, it could almost be like a mini solar system with like the rotating spheres of that content, that could be a really powerful way to kind of just organize it and still keep that metaphor going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just thought people might want to save a playlist as well. It just occurred, like I might not have time to watch all the 4 videos now, or I want to refer back to it or something like that. Maybe that's a function as well.
Or maybe
and
share
then-
it. Like here's
yeah.
I did this tour. You should check out. This is my path. It's almost like old school hypertext. This is the trail that I blazed.
Really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I wonder if someone could like create a playlist of like, these are all the cool game people in Vision Pro. Guys, you got to watch this. And then someone will watch just every other gamer. These are all the filmmakers.
That's brilliant. And that becomes a really interesting lens onto the app, right? To bring people in from a specific subgroup that then might go, oh, cool. I'll go and watch some of the other ones now or check out the feature or nice. Great stuff. And then the about section, just the 3 things that my understanding is, so shared vision as a project, whether we want to link to a website or whether we'll have a bunch of content in the app itself, where people can sign up, to be part of the project moving forward. What do we want to have around that? Notified.
is there any ongoing expenses related to keeping this alive that maybe people can donate?
So
Nice.
that's definitely worth a whole discussion at one of the next meetings. Got a lot of thoughts on how are we going to publish this? Who's going to publish it? Mike has strong opinions on the topic as well. I definitely want to bring it out because there's a lot to figure out of like, 'cause when I initially started the project, it was like, this is a community project. Let's decide that together. But I think a lot of people are expecting me to publish it. But my current company is called Radical Application Development, not Step in Division. And that's the one that has an Apple account and stuff like that. So I'd have to form a new company and figure out the logistics of that and the annual expenses of that going forward to file taxes for a new company and all that stuff. So
yeah, there's obviously some amount of running costs. But yeah, maybe there is a donation option.
at some point, I don't know if Apple's going to go for this, but at some point I had talking with my contact there, I was like, is this something that you guys want to publish? And they're like, they seemed interested in the idea, but they had to do some asking around. So
Sorry, who was that, Joe?
Apple.
Oh, right.
Like if they have an in-house studio that could publish it, or you just like a free App Store account for the community project.
That makes sense.
commercial thing.
Apple Legal will go crazy if they publish this. They're going to scrutinize everything.
And we're just gonna throw new videos in all the time. Don't worry about it.
I would
Okay.
imagine the edit will never be finished because I'm going to get so many people in comments.
Yeah.
Joe, I know. Obviously, Shared Vision is separate from Step Into Vision, but that is Step Into Vision now that there's a more formal maybe group of you. Is that becoming a non-profit or is it just going to be community? Like, is there anything there that could look
That's
after
also
and publish the app?
It's also kind of up in the air.
Okay.
It's not currently an entity. It's currently just a brand that my company owns. And then a bunch of us work on it for free. But we have ideas for commercializing some of that, but we're always trying to
That laugh, Mike.
not monetizing.
Sorry, I thought I was muted actually. I'd been muted the whole time.
Okay, we'll move away from the corporate and organizational structure.
Just to give you one more thing, of all the stuff, just from a cost perspective, to kind of answer Mel's question, I've spent a little bit of time like kind of thinking about this, or maybe it was Andrew. I'm not 100% sure. Like from everything we've discussed thus far, like ongoing costs, we have multiple people that have kind of stepped forward for like video hosting that we haven't really finalized how we're going to go about that. But it looks like there's probably an opportunity to get that free or very, very close to free. From an app perspective, I really only see the only cost being like some sort of API endpoint. If we start doing like shared playlists and things like that, like we're talking about, or push notifications, those would be like the main things that could have like a trickle of cost, but not a ton.
Yeah. I think the sharing we could do peer to peer. Just like make them a little shareable object if they could send to somebody that just points to the metadata in the app.
Yeah, you could do a URL and a URI sniffer in the app and throw IDs of the videos through. Actually, yeah, there's a way to do that too. But there's a very cheap, very light data option to like throw it on some sort of domain or something where you could potentially be publicly sharing playlists. But that's for another day, I think.
I just wanted to pick up on the and I can't remember us talking about this specifically in the past, but like obviously the idea of having some kind of a website and that going back to the marketing point, like this is something that Apple could use for marketing. Obviously it's a link to the app itself, right? Because one of the things I've found is like you're always, until the experience gets better, you just wait, where is that app? And you try and search for it. And then also the featurette or the trailer, whatever we're talking about, could live there too. So it could be like a holding sort of space for, another kind of entry point almost into the experience.
Yeah. What was I just going to say about the web host? No, brain went blank. Sorry. Apologize.
That's all right. Happens to us all. Great idea, Andrew. Yeah, 100%. So that's and again, we might have someone who is DRI for that, right? Who goes, yeah, I'll look after the website. Okay, we can come back to that another time. Anything else that I've missed or that we'd like to have? Yeah.
What about the credits? Would we play that from the about screen? Would this be like something that would be there?
Maybe?
I'm almost thinking like that. If we call the tabs, maybe that tab is called credits, and it primarily shows the credits, but has these other sections.
Yeah, because there's sort of a relationship, right, between Shared Vision, the credits.
Yeah, because there's the credits
and
of the folks
individuals.
The documentary, the subjects of the documentary, and there's the credits of the folks who made the documentary and the app.
Yeah, it's like the team who worked on it, then the people who were in it, and so it would probably, we'd get the credits essentially after the feature, obviously, or be an element to interact with. And I know that some people have got great ideas about how to approach the credits in a very different way, given the medium. So the credits go after the feature, but you could also get to them through shared vision or also see the individual's role. You know, if you go through to Mel, well, she was, you know, involved in these pieces and looking after the story and things like that, right? So I think that'd be nice, some nice interplay to link through to that.
Can I just throw something that's going on in my head? So the credits, because our feature is a dynamic story, the credits should also be as dynamic where a credit can end if you're maybe finishing one little sequence. Let's say I watch Oliver and Mel sequence, you're only going to see who's focused on that.
Mhm.
And then you can see credits if you're watching the whole feature. And then if you decide to go to the about, you can see the full credit list and it's also interactive. I don't know if that makes sense because it'll be odd that you'll see like 200 lines of people after watching maybe just Oliver's video and I haven't even seen Joseph's video yet. So I don't know, I'm just like thinking about how would that work?
Yeah.
How would the
I
model
think
work?
I think the content in the library would be different than the credits for the documentary. Because remember the thing that's in the feature is not necessarily the same content that's in the content library. Um, you know, we may have a 20-minute meeting, a 20-minute interview with Oliver, but only 2 or 3 minutes of him in the documentary,
Okay.
where he's talking about one specific thing. Um, so like we don't, and there may be a totally different clip on caught on a different camera on a different day. I don't think are necessary. I think very often we have the full interview. We're kind of editing pieces of that out for the documentary, but I think there's entirely possibility of there's no overlap in some cases,
And
and not
maybe a way.
the 2 minutes.
Sorry, sorry, Joe. Can you say anything?
I didn't mean to say. I didn't mean to imply that you can only have 2 minutes. We'll have plenty of time for you.
What comes to mind is sort of YouTube, you know, when you finish a clip, it has the interactive panels. We
Mm.
could have our individual profiles, right? So, you know, a Mel one, an Ollie one, a Paolo filmed this, and then you can shortcut through to those people's profiles. Mike seems to like that one.
I love that idea. Love it.
That'll
I think
link
we
back,
just
and potentially that can be more dynamic, but yeah, that's.
I think we just include Mike's game Aegis Core in the app, but instead of robots, it's the credits that you have to zap.
That'd be
We could
awesome.
probably hook something like that up.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's the individuals both on the team and in the people interviewed. And then the step in division would link through to the website, I assume. You know, there's a bit of a info about it and say, hey, if you want to join the community, then step in division. Is there anything else we need to link to in about? Any
I
other
mean,
like
I think it's probably part of the individual stuff, but I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate like linking to their social media profiles or websites where applicable. But I think that's just
yeah,
gathering the data when we gather.
yeah. And back to what we had up in the metadata as well, the apps that, you know, if I click on an individual, I see about them, I see, you know, if they're currently working for a company or themselves, then a link to that if they want, and then, you know, the clips that they're in, and the apps that they have on the store.
So that's an idea that we don't have represented here yet. So maybe kind of add a sticky note for a fourth idea. So we've got the feature, the library with the filters and the about. I was thinking of kind of a created by us type of thing where we could have a little app library. But all of these other views are kind of focused on the people who are participating, which is great. That's who we're telling a story about. But
Yeah.
just having a fourth tab or fourth section that just has like a grid of all the apps. They can tap on one, see a little bit of metadata, see who it was about, go to the App Store link. And it doesn't necessarily have to just be apps. It could be the services that people make or the dev tools that people publish or things like that. But just kind of I love the idea of the app style grid, like you see on the home screen of Vision OS, just having one of those baked into the app with a couple pages they can tab through.
Yeah, yeah. And then that can link to App Store or to chemical services. Awesome. Okay. Great. I'll take that. Okay, anything else? On Lou, does that all make sense to you as people new to the project?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Any
piece
thought-
together what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Anything that you think we've missed or?
No, I think we talked about the like one part someone brought up about like stuff apart from just like regular apps and other genres apart from regular. Because I was also thinking of like maybe someone's built like an API for Vision Pro and accommodating that stuff into the user interface.
Yep, yep. And I just saw Paula's comment about Easter eggs.
I was just joking about that, but
It's a serious thing. It's a serious thing, so I'm gonna drag it in.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a little it's a yeah, like when Joseph suggested having like Aegis score shooting things. I mean, we're not gonna throw the entire game in there, but I was like thinking, oh, maybe you'll find a random blooper video somewhere, or maybe
Or the little
if you
campfire from Campfire Space, or
yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay,
Something for
so
Reddit.
sorry, what was that, Mel?
Something for Reddit to get
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah, that's right. Go viral. So I just expanded very simply on some of the things there. So I just did a quick mock-up of a widget. You know, do we have an element that sort of identifies it as the shared visions project, whatever that might be. And then, as Joe sort of alluded to before, maybe that this content rotates through. So maybe Ben's video, just whoever Ben is, his clip just got added, so that there'd be a content rotation. So every time you put your Vision OS on, you go, oh, I wonder what's been added. Or as Joe suggested, there might be multiple content pieces navigable or interacted with that piece. So I assume, you know, again, the question for the widget person is, do we want iOS and iPad widgets? My sort of thinking was no, we'd just go for extra large portrait and landscape, but open to ideas there.
yeah, I love the portrait. I think they're huge, but they're just obnoxiously cool.
Yeah, yeah. And the fact that we can, you know, the user can make it monochrome, or, you know, as well, we can have that setting so that it's not too in your face all the time, but that it still, you know, is there as part of the room, and maybe they've got it in their lounge room as opposed to in their office or something like that. But and I think the landscape version would really work well if there were a number of clips that we wanted to highlight, right? So you'd have almost the shared vision logo or whatever on the left, and then maybe 3 different new content rows on the right or something like that. So that'd be fun to play with. And then Enrique on my team sort of just put this together quickly to go, okay, we've got all these videos surrounding us in a sphere. And I know certainly Michael Potts was talking about, okay, do we want each of those animating, or maybe some of them animating, or just, you know, they should be in the background, but there might be some subtle things happening there to show that they're potential clips that they could watch. Focus on the main video feature, the opportunity to watch the 3 most latest, or as Andrew pointed out, maybe the favorites as well, and then to navigate either to go in a carousel or potentially navigate to a page of all of them, and then that ability to create a playlist of video clips. By clicking on this, this UI in my mind would disappear, and you'd get the set of filters, and in the background, those background videos would come to life, would brighten or whatever, and then as you change the filters, the range of videos shrinks, right, until you've got, you know, 3 or 4 or 10 or whatever, and you can then just grab those maybe they go into more of a grid and you can grab them and put them into your playlist and then hit save playlist or play playlist or whatever that might be. And then a quick little about shared vision that would take you through to that there. But why don't
And sorry,
we?
just jumping in, like that's where you could have the share functionality too, right? If you wanted to share the playlist with someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once you've created the playlist, I think you go into a different sort of experience when you hit create the playlist, and we can focus on that. So I'll do that as a next screen. But why don't we spend sort of 5 minutes, or we've got 9 minutes, so maybe 7 minutes, giving if other people's interpretation, right? Like this is just my thoughts, but given that we've got some new people in this session, if anyone wants to sketch something out for the next 7 minutes, why don't we go? Or just has feedback or put a post-it note or some ideas, feel free to drop it down. So I'm going to start the timer and we'll have 2 minutes to quickly wrap up and then come back. So, we're all friends here. This is a safe space. Feel free to just chuck down any ideas that you've got, or notes, or thoughts, or little bits of UI if you think they're going to be useful. I know Joe's got some code things that we might be able to point at, or drag videos in, etc., etc.
So if we have time, I can show my simulator and just show a couple of the
Yeah, brilliant.
windows that are put together.
Absolutely. I'll be back in a sec. I'll stop sharing for the moment so there's no pressure. Everyone can do their own thing for the moment.
My idea is from, oh, Joseph disappeared. I was gonna say like my idea is gonna be based on what Joseph is gonna be sharing. I saw what you're thinking of, like, so I had time to ruminate around that UI thing that you were building.
That's why I put it out there. I want to get other people thinking about it. Circles, spheres, orbits. And then I think those lend themselves really well to lenses and light beams and the other kind of visual metaphors that we were talking about.
Okay, who wants to start? Talk us through.
I can give you a couple quick demos real quick.
Great. Do you
These are the full
want me to
picture.
stop sharing?
Sure. Let's see.
Oh, no, I'm not sharing anyway. That's right. You go.
1 second. Okay, so here's my simulator. There's an Xcode project I threw in the chat, and I'll throw on the Discord as well. This is based off the same thing I used it for the example code for the site. And there's 7 concepts so far. The first one is the one that Mel talked about earlier, kind of a round layout. I don't like that animation. I need to change that. A round layout. I'm not sure if this belongs on the front page, but it is possible to do a round window by hiding regular glass and providing our own. The emoji here are kind of intended to be placeholders for profile images or media thumbnails, things like that. And we've got kind of a de-emphasized version, and then when we hover over them, we can get the full color version. And then there is just a quick orbiting idea, so something that Andrew was talking about last time. So just kind of
cool.
just a few orbs animating around a central point. We could have those, a larger sphere in the middle, things like that, connecting together. There is an immersive space that doesn't do anything, but the idea of just being surrounded by different spheres of content, different themes of content. And then this weekend I worked on a couple of other things. Let's turn the debug lines off. This is kind of a Vision OS equivalent of the cover flow layout. There's a demo that plays automatically, can kind of rotate each one. So this could be a good way to kind of preview that timeline that is we're building things up. Just kind of scrub over the timeline or playlist.
Yeah, for the recents and
And
nice.
then there is a horizontal scroll. This was really just playing around with the gradient mask that Mel taught me about, but just having a little bit of a fuzzy edge around here as we scroll through here. And one of the 3D ones, this is a SwiftUI layout. So this would work in a volume, but there's a ring of things. Sorry, the simulator is super buggy with volume placement right now. But we can have like one prominent one at the front, and then de-emphasize the other ones. And the last idea was just kind of combining that circular window and seeing how it worked with the tab view. And I think it works pretty well with the tab view with some ornaments. So you could place ornaments above or to the side. There are ornament placements down here as well. I'm not sure if we would want to use them with the circular layout because they would be so far out from the circle. But I think the trailing and the top, and we can still use a toolbar down here if needed.
Yeah, maybe for filtering and stuff.
Could you feather the edges, like create a feathered mask?
Yeah, kind of. I can, yeah, it's complicated.
Brilliant. Thanks, sir. Any other things that people wanted to show off? I'll share the Figma again so we can look at them in there. Tim?
Yeah.
Do you want to, where are we? Down below?
No, I was just clapping for
Oh, sorry.
Joseph's demo.
Okay, who is this down here? It's Paolo.
Yeah.
You want to talk to?
Yeah, so it was going around Joseph's ideas and all the stuff he presented. So I got a little bit of sneak peek and I had some time to dream around that. So I was thinking about, remove this. So you start out with the user seeing a circle, so it's just a window, because I always think about starting with the familiar. So you see that 2 dimension and you hit enter, and then from there we see a circular menu, almost the same thing that Joseph had, and then you will see other little circular areas that if you gaze on them, they could scale. And then you're able to see recently watched or playlists, and you're able to navigate through that story or that playlist. And from our conversation today, I was thinking maybe you can pick up heads and put them in the playlist, and that generates a playlist itself. Below would be a standard button called About Shared Vision. So it's very, very, it just knows it brings you to something more serious, less of the fun stuff. When
Mhm.
you watch the feature where maybe there's a central button that says play feature, the user is introduced to use the circle. My gosh, I called it the circle. Oh my gosh. What's the spinning wheel on the headset? Sorry, it's like 4 p.m. here.
Dial.
Your crown.
Yeah, the crown, the digital crown on the headset to adjust the immersiveness. The one thing that I saw from Joseph's thing is, what if the menu from this regular 2D can become three-dimensional if the user is comfortable? So they can transition from this two-dimensional floating window, and then if they do full immersion, they will have floating 3D orbs, and they can move them and still function almost the same way, but it's just more immersive, galaxy-like, and then this will just be more tight. So that's what I was thinking.
Awesome.
Yeah, so all of the circles that I was using in the 2D layouts, those could all have 3D sphere representations in either a volume or an immersive space. So we could definitely pop those out.
That'd be very
You know, if I wasn't on a call with 9 or 10 highly technical individuals that are all capable in helping get this going, some of the things we've suggested over the last couple meetings would be laughably insane. But I think they're all well within the realm of possibility. It's just funny. I know we all have a lot of technical know-how, but it's just I had to add that as we were having that little note.
Scope creep? What's scope creep?
Well, we didn't really start with necessarily a scope, so nothing creeped. It was more just the build,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, this is oops, all scope creep.
Right.
Anyone else? Am I zooming out? What do we have?
I just dropped a couple of thoughts and the blue post-it there, but
Oh, great.
it's kind of building a little bit on both Joe and Paolo in terms of we talked about this last time, but just wanted to capture that solar system metaphor again, because I do feel like there's natural hierarchy there from an individual planet or object all the way up, and back down if needed. Like you have a lot of levels there. And again, thinking about the motion, like nothing is ever still. There's always rotation, both the object itself and then maybe the various little mini solar systems or clusters. Everything is kind of moving a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking about sound as part of the experience too, like obviously just to reinforce the interactions. And then I think, Paolo, you just said this too, but I always loved in What If, and I think the first version of the Gucci app did this too, but when you kind of transition into the full immersion, it kind of like wraps around you and then comes back out again. Like, I mean, is there some way of thinking about a transition where when you go into the experience, it kind of literally, if it is appropriate, but it kind of like just envelops you, I think that could be very powerful. So
Yeah, we can definitely do that in a couple of ways. Assuming we use a progressive space for the main feature, we can start the progressive immersion low and dial it up over a second or two so it wraps around, so that we don't have to do any kind of special content. The other way would be to do a 3D scene that itself adds content as it goes and wraps around you.
Yeah.
Technically, because of the way the immersive skyboxes work, we could probably do some sort of occlusion on just the skybox itself and run some sort of material that just basically comes through you, and you would get the occlusion effect of the skybox revealing itself as the occlusion material moved farther behind you.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, phenomenal. Okay, I know we're a bit over, and people probably have to run to other things or have dinner or whatever it might be. Great stuff. Where do we go from here is the question, obviously. So I think what we need is there anyone who wants to put their hand up to explore some of these in design? So I'm happy to certainly progress some of these and take it to a next level, get one of my designers to work on it. But is there anyone else who either personally or has someone on their team or that we know wants to go into the UI design of this?
Good question. I'm happy to keep doing concepts. That's probably where I can contribute the most.
Mhm.
If anybody wants to test the feasibility of something, is this going to work in Vision OS? Just send those to me and I can whip up a concept in that repo and keep.
I think if we kind of do work on those concepts and we have kind of a framework, then we can maybe apply some design thinking to that
Yeah.
to kind of polish it.
Okay.
I would also say there's kind of a point right now where, I've had multiple people on the app store team, on the app team, kind of reach out to me asking for tasks. I haven't really had much to do for them. We collected all of those skill sets. It might be something where it's worth putting together a little public call to action of like, hey, everyone that's been talking to me about all sorts of stuff, we kind of figured out some basics for the menu, kind of figured out some things for this. If any of these sound interesting to you, scaffold something out, throw it up on GitHub and send it to the group. I don't know how much bite we're going to get on that, but it's probably at the point where we could start to put something like that together.
Yeah, proof of concepts.
Yeah.
As a first step, it would be good to understand who in the Shared Visions project has put forward their skill set as a UI designer.
Okay.
Can we look at that list and if you can send that through to me, I'm happy to in the background reach out to them. I can give them a bit of an update, talk them through. I'll get my designer to play around with each of these and extend them a bit more, just so we've got something to show. Because I think they're going to need to have an evolution of this. So I'm happy for us to play with that and bring that.
I think my initial question would be, is there like any kind of logo and branding concept that we want to establish
Definitely. We need
all this?
if you don't want it to be embarrassing, somebody besides me has to do it.
I'm going to second that on myself too. I am definitely a developer and not someone that makes things look beautiful. So I'm going to tap out on that.
So again, I'm happy to donate my team's design capability on that. But also, if there's other people here, like I don't want to just take over everything. If there's other people that feel that they want to, and obviously everyone can give it a crack and we can vote it or whatever that might be. So
I appreciate that.
but for that, I mean, I'm not too worried about the logo and stuff right now because I think we're still very much at wireframe stage. But it's something we can start to think of in conjunction and probably need to start moving it forward.
So I made a note for myself to send you a list of the folks who signed up with design skills,
Okay.
either at the beginning of the project or I'll check the skills questionnaire stuff as well and see.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Well, I'll put a little brief together with some of these things so that we can put that up on Discord and email it out to those individuals, and then we can move from there.
Yeah, I mean, I do have all of those UI design skills. I'm just juggling a little bit too much to put myself forward for that specifically, but I can contribute when needed.
Maybe Mel, you can be creative director on that, right? And people can bring you ideas and you can go, yeah, that, but refine it or evolve that or.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to sort of kind of put my 2 cents in.
Brilliant.
Are we talking about, just to clarify here, are we talking more about more high fidelity wireframes first, or because I feel like, because that I think, and then kind of coming to some kind of like, shared vision, so to speak, on around the wireframe before you go, up to kind of getting more kind of polished design.
You mean lo-fi, starting with lo-fi?
Yeah, or mid-fi or whatever. So, but yeah, something to kind of build from that structurally, and with some of these metaphors and the hierarchy and all of that sort of good stuff, kind of taken into account as well.
In my mind, we will come back with maybe 2 to 3 concepts, which each have sort of 3 to 4 screens each that sort of hit the key screens, and we can all give feedback on.
Yeah.
And pick a
Yeah.
direction, essentially.
I'm thinking back to the Figma that Mel showed us at office hours last week for
Oh,
the kind of thinking through the app that you did. I can only imagine how much work went into that. It looked very complicated.
Yeah, I'm kind of building out a design system.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. I couldn't make it last week, so it's
Yeah, it was
tons of
fantastic.
fun.
I assume the video's in there.
We don't
Yeah.
record office
We
hours.
didn't record the office
Ah.
hours, but look, I'm happy to talk to people sort of individually and run through things. I'm
We can
heading
start
to
on
Apple
Friday.
tomorrow. Heading to Sydney tomorrow to show it to Apple. So yeah, I'm just, as I said, juggling a lot of things right
Yeah.
now.
So next steps, I'm going to run a poll in the Discord for some times for that regular meeting starting Wednesday. I'm hoping next week we can spend a little time talking about the story questions. So Mel's doing the PDF out there. It feels like that's kind of the bottleneck of everything right now is like we can't really interview people till we have questions. And as soon as we can start interviewing people, we can get people involved and we can start piling up footage for Paolo and the editing team, and they can start queuing up stuff for Mike and the app team.
Do you
So-
want me to drop that into this Figma and then people can drop comments?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. If I can, either at that meeting or independently myself, I want to just sit down with Ian Hamilton. He's a reporter by trade.
Yeah.
And just throw him the questions and have him throw the questions back at us in a reporter style of way, because he's really good at that.
Yeah, I've just dropped them on the
VR
Figma
Ian
file.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's part of the project as well. He's been super busy, but he recently got some free time.
I was going to say he's got a bit more free time at the moment.
Or maybe he doesn't, right? If he's
Yeah.
spinning up your own thing.
He's got his Substack, yeah.
Yeah. I ran a couple of ideas by him a couple weeks ago, and he just was throwing so much back. I'm like, okay, hold on, let's get you in front of other people. I don't want to waste this. So yeah, I will do those things. I will also send Oliver a list of folks who specify design capabilities and skills. So I'm hoping next week, whenever we figure out a time for a regular shared visions community meeting or office hours, whatever we call it, we'll do kind of a story focus next week. At some point, we'll do one with a bit of a publishing focus. How are we going to release this thing? We'll do more UX stuff and design review stuff. And then the app team and Mike and Paolo will just kind of reserve time as they need. If we need a technical session, if we need a video session. When we get the video production pipeline up and running, Paolo is definitely going to have a lot to teach of like who wants to come along during these editing sessions and learn this process. So that's going to be a valuable thing as well. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Oliver, for
Thanks,
putting this
everyone.
together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Speak soon.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.